meeting for City of Socorro, Monday, November 24th at 6:12.
Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Mr. Ortiz, Albert, can you please lead us to it, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, Establishment of Quorum. Albert Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz. Alex Miranda.
Present.
Claudia Olmos. And Cassandra Muro is absent. And we have a quorum. And item number 4, no public comment, no speakers. Consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Albert Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz. Alex Miranda.
Yes.
And Claudia Olmos.
Yes.
Moving on to the regular agenda, item number 7, discussion and action to approve the revision of C.10 Dress and Personal Appearance Standards Policy addressed in the Employee Handbook dated August 18, 2025.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairperson and Commissioners. Carol Candelari, HR Director here. This agenda item is to discuss the revision of our C10 Dress and Personal Appearance Standard Policy, which was enacted in our new Employee Handbook on August the 18th. This revision was determined to be overly restricted in our old policy. While maintaining a professional image, it remains important that the city recognizes the need for flexibility and better to accommodate employees' roles and comfort, practical workplace needs, and without compromising professional or service quality. So with the new revision, I'm here to answer any questions. So we've kind of condensed it to make it a lot simpler for employees to understand.
Okay, so just to make certain, the second page, everything that's highlighted, that's what's already here, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And the last page is what you guys condensed it to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does it mean that it was to determine to be overly restrictive? What is that?
We identified in the old policy where it identified specific shoes, it talked about the t-shirts, it talked about athletic wear, so it went into specific descriptions of attire. So what we did is we condensed it down to make it simple for everybody to understand.
Okay. So on that kind of stuff, were people not wearing them that you found that you didn't need to put it in there, or they were wearing them, or what? Why the change all of a sudden?
Well, what we wanted to do is because the policy was so restricted in the original policy, we wanted to make it a little bit more condensed so it can be a little bit more understanding. So yes, unfortunately, some of our employees were wearing prohibited shoes when they shouldn't be. We wanted to make it real clear what our dress attire was going to be, what the casual Fridays would be, what kind of dress attire they would be allowed to wear. We felt the hairstyles could be very subjective, so we wanted to make it more professional in its terminology.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Mm-hmm. They're grandfathered. They're going to be grandfathered in, those that currently have them, but what we're moving forward to is to create a professional image moving forward. So we want to make sure that new incoming staff are restricted from some of these items, but those that currently have it are going to be grandfathered in. Okay.
Well, like on that, and this is more for city legal, can, and I would hate for it to say, well, yeah, you should put it in there, but could you turn around and still, depending on, of course, what they're doing, I mean, I I know like with PD, just in general, I mean, they don't get grandfathered in. It's like you have to cover them up, cover them up. I mean, if they have the neck tattoos, I'm not saying to put something on there to choke them, but to discreetly cover them. I know that tattoos can be art, or they mean certain things to certain people, I understand, but you're at work. I would hate to turn around and have, me personally, go up to, let's just say, the city manager and have her up here that says YOLO on her fist and stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, it's like, I know you only live once, but it's like, I don't need to know that from you. Can something be addressed to, if they do have those neck tattoos or tattoos that are shown to the public, to be covered up discreetly?
Yes, so in our current draft, it specifically says in the second paragraph where supervisors may require employees whose appearance does not meet standards to leave and return appropriately dressed. Time away from work in such cases would be unpaid. So we leave it up to the supervisors. They know what the policy is to enact it and to ensure that they are following through. And if a person is inappropriately dressed or visual tattoos are at a point where they need to be covered up, then the supervisors has the directive to send them home and get them appropriately dressed.
Okay, and now to that of, let's say you're my supervisor and I have something that you say, you know what, it's okay, but then city manager comes by and says, well, why do you have that? It's like, oh, because my supervisor let me. I mean, it's still conflicting stuff.
And I'm sure that that would be a conversation between the city manager and the supervisors to get a clear understanding on what he saw as being acceptable versus what she says. And then I'm sure a conversation would be had.
Because I can kind of see that kind of stuff is like, oh, it's okay. I mean, they let me, and it's one of those that to try to eliminate that time. And then, because always sending somebody home without pay, I mean, we try not to do that.
And in most cases, what I can say, Mr. Miranda, is that our city manager has an open door communication with the supervisors. So if the supervisor feels that certain employees' visual tattoos are appropriate or not appropriate, I'm sure that conversation would be had before an employee is sent home.
Okay, perfect.
How frequently is the meeting with the supervisors?
I'm sorry?
How frequently is meeting with the supervisors?
Well, I'd like to believe that all of our employees routinely speak to their supervisor daily, especially when it's talking about work performance and how they look, especially those are, yes, often.
Mr. Ortiz, and we do have department head meetings every other Monday.
Mhm.
Oh, you do? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you, Ms. Olivia.
Anybody else have any questions? Concerns?
When I was at the fire department, here in Lima, one Saturday and Sunday, they decided to back off on the dress. Guys, both men started coming in with 1 month, instead of one girl even gave me those, I call them taquitas, but the furry ball.
Are you talking about slippers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Give an inch, take a mile.
I'm sorry?
Give an inch, take a mile.
That's exactly right. So what we're trying to do is to get them to the point where this is a professional attire. They're not going home. They're not sleeping on their bed cots and waiting for the call. I mean, they're at work and they need to dress appropriately. So anything could happen. What happens if there's a fire in the building? They have to leave the building. And now you're on the media and everybody's in chanclas. No. So. I hope that that doesn't happen, but this is what we're trying to do, is establish a professional environment for all. No matter what happens, you may be exposed at any time, and you're prepared.
I have just one last question. I'm saying it because my daughter, granted, she's only 20, or she's 20, but she thinks she's like 30. She likes those exotic hairdos, or not hairdos, hair colors. Is that an issue with the city of Socorro?
We want them to look professional, and we do realize that nowadays the age, and we can't discriminate against age, and our goal is not there, but I mean, we do have special occasions where we have Halloween and you have the night fair, fright farm and all that stuff where sometimes the exotic hairdos and colors can appear, but we ask that all employees be respectful and kind in terms of what is considered a professional color. I mean, somebody that's got green and, I mean, again, we'll have to talk to the supervisor, so.
Okay, see, because that's what I was gonna say, like, my daughter has, it's called like a raccoon color. She's got two different colors. One of them is pink and the other one is like a light greenish. It looks very cute and everything else, and it doesn't look like, look at me or anything of that sort, but it is a different colors and everything else. And I know you have a different variety of individuals working here, whether they're male or female, what have you. That's why I'm saying it's like, I know it's up to the supervisor, but that's just something to bring up, because like I said, my daughter, I have my issues, but those are dad issues. And I tell her, it's like, in a professional way, what are they gonna look at? And we, them, are a branch from the city of Socorro. So we think we look good, but the public's image is something totally different. And we've tried to protect the city as much as we possibly could. All of us in this room at any given time, it's like I would hate, again, to have to send somebody home for that, or that huge expense, because that hair coloring, it hurts my pocket a lot. So I would hate for those individuals to have to do something to that expense.
I think in most cases, again, if a supervisor feels that the hair color is just real extreme out there, then I'm sure that he or she would have a conversation with the city manager. Then we would bring the employee in and sit down and talk and find out what's going on. But I like to believe that the supervisors will engage in a conversation with our city manager prior to sending anybody home or enacting in that.
Okay. Again, it's just like the cost effectiveness, again, for them in two ways. Now they have to go get their hair done again, and then that's going to be a cost, and then skipping work for that day probably, or whatever. Money in the pocket right nowadays is something that we all need. So
We completely understand.
Again, just food for thought.
Sure, completely understand. But I like to believe that our supervisors would have the fortitude to sit down and talk to the city manager and say, okay, we probably need to talk about this.
Yeah, because she might appeal because it's color. I have a color to it, even though that is like, I don't know, it is bright, and she can say, well, she also has a bright color too, you know?
No, I agree. It's just for them to, I don't have a problem with my dog. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, you know how just the perspective of the others.
Yeah.
What we think is good,
Yes, and we
That's
have to look at all directions, what's good for the city, what's good for our public. We have to be cognizant of that. So we agree.
perfect. Any other questions, concerns? No? Okay. Make a motion to pass item number 7 the way it's written.
Albert Ortiz? Carlos Ortiz? Alex Miranda?
Yes.
And Claudia Oblos.
Yes.
Item number 8, discussion and action to approve the revision of C07, personal relationship in the workplace addressed in the employee handbook dated August 18, 2025.
Thank you. Again, good evening, commissioners and chairperson. Carol Candelaria here, HR director. So this policy has been updated, and it reflects a stricter guidelines from that eliminates prior allowances for reporting and reassignment of employees, establishing a zero tolerance for the workplace relationship that can create conflicts of interest and risk harassments, favoritism, or compromise professionalism. This new policy is broadened, more direct, and enforces the stricter boundaries to protect the workplace integrity, the safety, and the equitability of treatment for all employees. I'm here to answer any questions should you have any.
So just having to have a rewrite, obviously there was an issue. So,
Some concerns, yes, sir.
anybody have any questions or concerns on this? biggest thing is the way it says, security, safety, discrimination, sexual harassment. I mean, we've been doing fairly well out here with civil service of not having discrimination, sexual harassment. It'd be nice to keep it that way. So, I mean, no comments, concerns? If we have no concerns, no comments on this or suggestions, make a motion for item number 8 to pass as written.
Do we have a second? Albert Ortiz? Carlos Ortiz? Alex Miranda?
Yes.
And Claudia Olmos.
Yes.
Item number 9, discussion and action to approve the revision of CO1 time and attendance policy addressed in employee handbook dated August 18, 2025.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Carol Candelaria again here, HR Director. So this request is to update the attendance and timekeeping policy to reinforce the city's commitment to maintain a reliable and efficient workforce while supporting fair and consistent operation practice across all departments. With the implementation of our new payroll software program and standardized procedures, including identifying the 5-minute grace period, which it was a practice, although was not identified in our employee handbook, clarifies call-in requirements and expanding timekeeping options for employees with city-issued cell phones, promotes accuracy and accountability. The policy also strengthens the documentation expectations, including the requirements for doctor's notes when calling in sick before and after a holiday. These updates ensures improved consistency, transparency, and compliance with supporting the city's mission to deliver high-quality services to the community. I'm here to answer any questions, should you have any.
So everything that's highlighted is the new stuff?
Yes, sir. So what we did is we made it as clear as possible, whereas practices have been happening, although it was not written, as you can identify in the current policy, it was very vague. So we expanded it a little bit to be more concise and more detailed for the supervisors to be able to implement their policies. And with our new software program that we now have, it gives us a little bit more flexibility, and it gives a lot of control to the supervisors to be able to control their departments in time and attendance.
So you're allowed still to go 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after of your set time, but if it continues, there will be disciplinary actions. Is there any times, and I'm not sure how it works with like street department and stuff like that, that they get in, and especially like right now it's getting cold, it's like to start up some of the equipment that it takes some time and everything else. For instance, like right now with the IT, cell phones die, everything for whatever reasons and everything else. Can they utilize somebody else's cell phone to time clock in, or just best thing to do is grab a landline and call?
So currently in our new software system, we have now gone with Paycom, which now has ability in all facilities, an iPad where all employees can punch in. However, sometimes because of the amount of staff that we have in some departments, i.e. like Parks and Public Works and Police Department, we don't want them to be in line trying to punch in and punch out. So they have the flexibility if they have a issued city cell phone that they can punch in and punch out. The only command on that is that each has their own command. They have their own software login IDs, that even if they did use another employee's city cell phone, they still have to use their login commands to be able to do that. So we're allowing that flexibility so that we don't bottleneck at the punch in and punch out stations.
Okay. And if for whatever reason, like I was saying with, let's say a park street maintenance, it's like, hey, you know, I need for you to go start some of the trucks, blah, 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 because it's so cold, there's heavy equipment, it takes a couple of minutes sometimes to start, and they're working already. They just, hey, before you walk in, just go start the trucks. I mean, that's the excuse, well, that's the reasoning, which is a valid reason. I know talking to maybe a supervisor, they would, hey, you know what, this is why he didn't clock in or they didn't clock in.
So our software system, just as our other ones did, it did allow for a mispunch. So if an employee was directed to go, instead of arriving to the work site, go directly to the job site, then there is that mispunch ability so that they can go ahead and correct their time entry. So we do have that flexibility still.
So, and that stuff wouldn't be counted against those employees for you
It won't be counted
continuously
against
doing
them.
it and stuff, okay?
No, sir, it will not be counted against them. It's all about communicating with your supervisor.
Yeah. And again, like I've said, it's like, the city's done fairly well on trying to keep everybody happy. It makes, I think, everybody's job a lot easier. We end up getting the back end of it, but I know with you guys, having to deal with it and stuff and everything else, it can be sometimes a headache. But we can streamline as much as we possibly can. It's the greatest thing possible.
Absolutely.
Any concerns, comments?
Just a small comment about the 5 minutes. Just some, if for any reason one of the employees here big issues the last night, I don't know, he's coming from driving for the city or sick or somebody, on special situations, and for any reason, maybe I say, oh, I will sleep a couple hours, and if I'm still sleeping, by my condition, personal situations, if I can report the 5 minutes, and the next paragraph says, report no late, each morning absence, they consider it.
So what the policy is directed to do is that all employees that happen to be sick, they're required to call in an hour before their start shift to their supervisor, okay? We do understand that sometimes emergency situations do happen, so as long as you communicate with your supervisor, then those exceptions can be made. It's when it becomes out of the norm that it becomes a problem. Of course, punching in 5 minutes before and after, again, if circumstances present themselves that for whatever reason the system went down, I couldn't punch in, I was late, etc. Again, it's the communication with the supervisors that what we're striving for, is to keep that open door communication at all times. And there can be always some exceptions to the rules, as long as it doesn't become a norm. Great question.
You brought up something of the system goes down. Technology, it's the greatest thing in the world, but sometimes it's our best evil friend. What's the contingency plan to that? Is just going to be supervisor, hey, you know what, everybody was here, check mark, whatever, or what's the contingency
What
for the
happens
city?
is that we do have a manual punch-in, a mispunch report that each employee can utilize if, for whatever reason, our system goes down that we cannot recover it. So then at that point, then each employee will have to do a mispunch report so that we can get it fixed, yeah. We're trying to do away with the paper, but sometimes those things happen and we have no choice but to use it, so yes.
Just wondering.
Sure.
Any other concerns, comments? No?
You get a, maybe it's a little bit different. What if an employee is called in, he's got with us, called in to work, right, when they go, comes in, and when he walks in, oh, man, we got to call you, we didn't need you after all. Do they get paid 2 hours with a pass or 0 pass, 2 hours of travel time?
So we have what we,
How does it do that?
it's okay. So what we do have is we have what we call an on-call policy, okay? So if an employee is subject to being on call, they're paid for the days that they're on call. If it happens to be during the week, then it's 1 hour. If it's on the weekend, it's 2 hours for each day that they're on call, if they don't get called in. If they do get called in, from the moment they get called in and they're invoked into being paid, and it takes them 30 minutes, but they're called into action, so they're clocked in at that moment. Let's say they get here and all of a sudden, oh, guess what, I don't need you after all. And then, of course, then they're going to get punched out for the time. So there's no minimum time that they're going to be required to be called in terms of they're going to get paid. So they're already getting their 1 hour for being on call automatically, whether they get called in or not. But they're paid their overtime if they happen to get called in, and they punch in and they punch out.
Any other concerns? No. Make a motion to approve item number 9 as written.
Albert Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz. Alex Miranda.
Yes.
And Claudia Olmos.
Yes.
Item number 10, motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second? Albert Ortiz? Carlos Ortiz? Alex Miranda?
Yes.
And Claudia Olmos.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
And we
Thank
adjourn
you.
at 6:37.